Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League just released recently, and let me tell you, the only thing the Suicide Squad is killing is people's insomnia, because 5 minutes of watching that gameplay absolutely sends you to sleep. In short, the game is... it's this. It's pooey. I've been a long-time DC fan, and so this game felt like a personal insult to me, a personal spit in the face, and I'm in angry mode. My Hulk rage has started because, I'm getting mad. So the game has a long list of shortcomings, but my main peeve with this game is just how pathetically they killed the Justice League in it. And I'm gonna get to that later, but the first thing I want to talk about is the game in general. And when it was first announced, boy, I was excited. I put my Batman pants on and I was sitting there waving a little Batman flag to watch the trailer because it sounded great. The story premise is really cool. I love the idea of the Suicide Squad going out and taking on the Justice League. I thought that's a really cool idea. I was like, oh boy, dude, how are they gonna do this? They're just the Suicide Squad. It's the Justice League. It's like gods versus ants. It's like stepping on an anthill. And spoiler alert, there isn't a reason as to how they're really able to do it besides, they found technology that they can use to kill them, which barely helps them, might I add. But yeah, I was excited about the story. I was also excited that it was Kevin Conroy's last outing as Batman for a full game. That was amazing. I was like, woohoo, we get to see him one last time because he is the best Batman voice in the entire world. And speaking of Batman, this game was also made by the developers of the Batman Arkham series, which are some incredible games. So I had huge hopes coming into this game, all of which were shot down like a balloon in Bloons Tower Defense, and the dart was the game studio. So we first started getting the shivers, the spider sense that something was wrong when the marketing kicked in and we started getting screenshots from inside the game. And the UI originally looked absolutely atrocious. There were things everywhere. There was numbers, there was this, there was that, challenges, dailies. There were like 5 different meters for 5 different things. It was ridiculous. And again, it's one of those things that goes from marketing into the actual game. The actual game's UI, just a bit cleaner, but was still crazy. It was insane. And the numbers of when you hit people with the bullets did not help at all. Those numbers were flying out everywhere. Every stream I watched, when there was any combat at all, it was just bitrate latency and lag and everything. The definition went down. There was just so much going everywhere. It was like trying to give you an epilepsy attack. But then we get to the second worst thing in the entire game, which is the gameplay. It was so boring to watch. I found myself when I was watching other people skipping through any part just to get to the next section of the story, because it was just the exact same gameplay loop throughout the entire thing. It was either defend this objective, kill these specific things, collect a whole bunch of things, or the worst of them all, escort this slow-moving, goofy-looking truck to this next area, which games have long removed escort missions because they're so boring. You just gotta wait for that thing to move, shoot the occasional thing, and keep waiting for it to move. It was awful. And I'm gonna bring this up again later regarding the boss fights, but it felt like a gameplay loop out of the PlayStation 1 era, back in the early 2000s. I can tell they drew inspiration from a really good game, Borderlands 2, from the numbers when you deal damage to the different talent trees per person and even the different types of weapons, but it just doesn't work because Borderlands 2 is a first-person shooter. It has a much larger world in general, and it has a higher variety of enemies. The enemies in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, they're like zombies. They're awful. I don't even remember what one of them looks like because they were just a blur of pixels and everything. And the numbers were covering their faces. The only thing good about the gameplay by far was the traversal and movement of the characters, but that wasn't enough to save it from such repetitive missions like, oh, kill 12 Kuchenschnaggers and collect their kraken and put it in me stew, and I'll get you a new thing that'll help ya in battle. I hate those so much, they're the worst. But then we get on to my least favorite part of the entire thing, actually killing the Justice League. From the gameplay to the story mechanics of it, it was just all so bad. It was awful. I'm gonna go through every single individual character, but first I want to say the story overall is pretty okay. The story overall is quite good. It's just every specific scene with every specific Justice League member that they kill is so bad, and the way that they kill them is always so bad, it's terrible. The stinkiness starts straight away from the very premise that the Suicide Squad is taking on the Justice League. Now, I'd be willing to give them some leeway if they gave us a cool explanation as to why the Suicide Squad can kill the Justice League. Like, for example, oh, the Justice League, they've been lobotomized by Brainiac, and they're all stupid thinkers now. They've gone back to caveman mode. Kill, kill. But no, they don't do that. The Justice League still have their full powers. In fact, they're even more powered up by Brainiac, as we'll get into later. And yet the Suicide Squad kills them with ease. They have the Speed Force drainers for the Flash and Yellow Lantern stuff for the Green Lantern. But the way the Justice League deals with them in the boss fight is so awful. It's just terrible. It's like they have been lobotomized, but not in the story by the actual game developers. Let's start with the Flash. So, from the very get-go, from the very introduction of the game, and this happens in a lot of media as well, he is portrayed as, boom, man can run across a city, get an ice cream, boom, fly straight back. And then as soon as we get into the gameplay, it's like, I'm gonna get you! Just runs a bit faster than the player. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Gets shot at. I'm gonna get you! Like, if this was him actually trying, in any of the cutscenes, he could have just gone up and wham bam thank you ma'am, hit him straight in the chest, make him into a donut. But no, he doesn't. And the boss fight, all the boss fight is, you'd think this would be an amazing time to do some crazy wacky stuff, but it's not, because the developers are like, wouldn't it be fun if we stood there and we just had Flash stand still occasionally? And then he creates tornadoes around the map, which create wacky objectives for us to avoid. Genius! And then when he gets lower HP, he goes to a brand new phase. He creates another tornado. But watch out, the final phase, he creates a third tornado. Oh, this is the best game of all time. No, it's not. Because let's be honest, tornadoes are his worst power, his most boring power. I'm gonna get into spoiler territory here, but he can do so many cool things, like in the cutscene. Skip this if you want, go for the next 20 seconds, but he just races through, rips Luthor's heart out in the blink of an eye, and boom, Luthor's done for. Why didn't he do that? Well, why couldn't we have some countermeasure? Like, I don't know, maybe give all of the Suicide Squad members something that helps them enter the Speed Force as well, just for the boss fight. Captain Boomerang already has something like that. Or even use the technology that they have to slow down the Flash, make it slow him down from the start so that it's more realistic, so that it makes more sense.
I'll kill you guys in a sec!
This happens every time you kill a Justice League member, and it looks so stupid. They look like they're just going to sleep, going to have a nap, sitting down with their arms behind their heads, closing their eyes gently as they go into a slumber, so that they can get in position for the cutscene that's about to take place. It's like they're actors at Disney theme parks, waiting for something to happen in the story. It just looks so goofy. But anyway, we can forgive that first boss fight. Maybe that's the warm-up boss fight, right? I'm sure all the other boss fights are gonna be, no, they're not better. There's still more shoot 'em ups. Well, then we get to Green Lantern.
In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern!
The Green Lantern one is also really bad. In fact, I'd say it's worse than the Flash's one. At least the Flash had a barely cool, interesting mechanic where he'd zoom around and zoom to the next spot. Green Lantern, it's just, he spawns units that you gotta shoot. And I hate this in every Green Lantern media. All he does is use guns. He just thinks, oh, I'm gonna use guns. It's like what happens when you give a Green Lantern ring to this like rural gun shooting, American loving redneck who's like, okay, I'm gonna conjure up an entire arsenal of guns to defeat you. Like, this is the guy who can spawn anything in his imagination, and he just chooses normal guns. Like, use something interesting. Use a nuclear bomb. Use a Pac-Man to kill them. No, but he just puts stupid depth charge mines around the field, and he brings in helicopters, and he's got machine guns around him. It's basically just bringing extra enemies into the fight. It's ridiculous. And then at the end cutscene, of course, we have another one where he's like gently lying down for a second. He tells the Suicide Squad, and this happens with all the others, that they're punching above their weight. Oh, you pals, you kids inside the big boy school. You're a child fighting an adult tiger, and we're the tigers, as he's coughing blood, like, and they've already killed the Flash. Like, at that point, acknowledge that they're actually making a problem for you. And then we get to Wonder Woman, and hers was actually good. She had a respectful send-off. It made sense thematically in the story. It made sense with everything as to how she got killed. It all just made sense. And the best part was that it wasn't a boss battle. It was a story cutscene. Boy, they should have stuck to just making it into one big movie, because the story was the only interesting part of it. But towards the end of the game, the second half, once you're done with Flash and Green Lantern, it just gets worse. It just gets bad. It goes from terrible to I want to rip my eyeballs out and I want to go somewhere else, because the Batman boss fight was, oh my lord.
Now, fear the Batman!
This was the Arkham Batman. They should not have made this canon to Arkham, because there are so many people, including myself, mad about this. It is ridiculous. The Arkham Batman goes out in a PlayStation 1 looking boss fight. There's some more spoilers coming up for the boss fight, but he becomes a giant feared Batman, and all he does is he sends in a few I don't even know if they're batarangs. There was too much going on screen. He sends in a few things that come after you, and you gotta shoot them before they get to you. And then he sends in these massive swipes, which send a line going across the floor. I've played better boss battles in Roblox. The RP Battles Season 3 finale was a way better boss battle than this. And then, it was the way they ate off him as well. It was just so disrespectful. This was the main character for like 3 separate games in the Arkhamverse, and then they just kill him off like that. No wonder so many people are mad. It is absolutely humiliating and so frustrating.
One of the world's finest heroes, snuffed out by this.
And then there's Superman, who throughout the whole game, everyone's been wary of. Like, everyone's like, oh, Superman, or what if Superman shows up? Or he stops a nuke hitting Brainiac's ship after killing Green Lantern, and everyone is super terrified of him. Well, he's the worst of them all. It's the worst boss fight out of all of it. He doesn't say anything related to the narrative. All he says is like, I'm gonna kill you, and he flexes his muscles a bit, and then when you get into the boss fight, he's like, you've lost your cool, allow me to give you some back, as he flies around the map doing something, I don't even know, because his frost breath did nothing that affected me in the entire game. It was so rushed. Like, he didn't have really anything to do with the story, aside from killing Wonder Woman, but after that, I'm sorry, I lost my cool for a second there. It's just very frustrating how he's super fast, can laser vision, heat vision, all of that, and then the boss fight is him just flying around, throwing stuff at you like, take this, oh, dang it, I missed, I'm gonna try the same thing again, hiya, ooh, you look like you lost your cool, allow me to give you some more. Like, he can't think of any other lines, like he was just in Brainiac's giant ship being like, that cool one's a pretty good idea, I think I'll go with that. And so that's the whole boss fight, and then the worst part of it all is, boom, they kill him, he falls to the ground, he doesn't even have a death cutscene, he's just, oh, well, we got him, job done. He's off to the pearly gates with the big guy upstairs now. Bye, buddy, let's move on to the next thing. And the next thing is Brainiac. who isn't technically a part of the Justice League, but I'm gonna talk about it because it's just a really bad boss fight as well. He's been hyped up the whole time. He has some ability to completely freeze all of the Suicide Squad, which he doesn't use for the final fight. I don't know if they developed anything, but I don't remember them developing anything that could stop that. But the final fight is, he becomes the Flash, and he says a line like, "I am Brainiac, the fastest man alive," which I imagine the writers of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League were like, "Oh, damn, this is gonna be fire. Ooh, that's gonna get the entire fan base rocking." No, didn't even get the nursing home excited because it was yucky. And basically the boss fight was literally just another Flash boss fight, but this time he spawned minions. Woo, more things to fight. And afterwards they're like, okay, that was great. Let's kill 12 more Brainiacs in 12 future seasons. I can't wait for who's gonna show up to this one. Spoiler alert. Nobody's gonna be showing up to the next one. If I was part of the Suicide Squad, I'd pretty much be offing myself as well after those experiences. But all in all, it's just sad and disappointing how a game with such huge potential didn't manage to live up to the expectations, especially with those boss fights. These are the Justice League members. They're awesome! But all in all, it's just sad that the game didn't live up. But all in all, it's just sad that the game didn't live up to its potential. There's so many cool directions you could go with it, so many cool things you could do. I would have loved a really unique boss fight for every Justice League member to really show just how cool it is and everything, but no. I was gonna say they focus too much on blah blah blah, but I don't even know what they focus too much on because I don't think they focus enough on anything. The gameplay was yucky, the boss fights were yucky, everything was just yucky. The user interface was yucky. It was all yucky. It was like being served Brussels sprouts. Not fun. Anyway, it's time for me to go out just how the other Justice League members did.